All right. Now here's a question that you need to little think about as well. How many hours do you think that you spend feeling stressed? Thank you very much. People are on board. This is excellent. Thank you. Love all this honesty. 6 to 8, 0s to 2, 2 to 4s and 4 to 6. That's right. And it's a feeling of, that's the way that you look at the stress. It's not saying it's right or wrong, it's just how you feel. Yeah? What do we got? There's a few people up there, that's 0 to 2, 14s, yes? Yes? All right. Now the thing about this is you can see from here, there's about, some of those people could be 0 or even an hour, but you think in a day that's another hour or even 2 hours. For some people they're up to 4 or 6 hours on average. And you multiply that by the number of days that we've got left, and of those days that we've got left, we could be spending 3 or 4 of them in this zone, right? Rather than that zone. Now some people may be sitting there saying, well, like, hold on, mate. It's not all bad, and that's right. Stress is actually something that's important for us. It's also a motivator. It's to get us to do things. So it's not bad, but there are some times where it's a bit out of our control and it's just a bit too overwhelming. That's what we call that work pressure, yeah? All right. So let's talk a little bit about this stress thing. So stress, or the reason why we have these conditions, is really because the body's very simple. It all works in the brain, and the brain is there for 2 things. One is to keep the species going, so it's all about reproduction and eating, and it's about protecting us. Let's go back into the cave world. Back to little cave women, cave men. Saber-toothed tiger comes by. Now we need something to say, hey, let's get out of here. So it's going to be cortisol is injected into the body that stimulates the brain, that goes into the limbic system to say freeze, flight or fright. So it's let's get out. And that's the cortisol jumping into our brains going, get out of here. Now the funny thing is we don't have the saber-toothed tigers anymore. Neither do we have those sort of really heavy situations in our life. But we still produce cortisol because it is still a protective agent. Now the thing about having cortisol in your body continually is it sucks up a lot of energy. And it sucks up so much energy that it's not feeding the front, what we call the prefrontal cortex, which I'll get into in a minute. We want to reduce the amount of that cortisol. The cortisol is the chemical that creates the overwhelmness and the overtiredness and the inability to think. That's cortisol. And the more cortisol you have floating around in your body consistently is the way that little problems with our heart and little habits will start to eventuate. So sitting up there in the 4 to 6 8s, there's a lot of cortisol sitting around there. And sometimes the cortisol is good because it actually motivates us to do things. And sometimes that too much cortisol on a continual basis is not good. So we want to kind of talk about how we reduce the cortisol.